Check two, check three, check three, four, five, 6 seconds. Say there.
Goodbye, Portland, you twisted now. Where's the harbor? Where's the gap? Goodbye, Portland.
All right, stand by. Here we go.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Now, live from Chicago, the Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Hal Sparks, actor, comedian, and multimedia personality.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hal Sparks.
All right, let's do this.
Okay, welcome to the show, everybody. Happy Saturday. Glad you could be with us. It's been a rough one over the course of the week. Johnny Million is with us as unusual, as I like to put it. And also, Johnny Million, you and I, over the years, we've had our differences. We've had our little dust-ups. Most of them happened.
Yeah, when you know somebody since you're 16, that'll happen.
Yeah, and I think most of ours happened when we were 17. So,
yeah, there.
No real big ones since at all, I think, pretty much. There's like a gap in there where we didn't get to hang out. So I hold out hope that you and I at one point would have had a really big dust up during that time, but we just never had the opportunity.
Yeah, you would hope.
Yeah, that that we could bitterly turn on each other and undercut
just for
each
the
other.
lore.
And then right when you think things are starting to like kind of gloss over or scab over or whatever, you just pick that scab a little bit, or heck, whole new wound. I think that's the good strategy, right? When especially if you're allegedly on the same side, deeply, deep friends, very close, been through a lot, I think that's what you want. You want to save up the shivving, because anybody can shiv their enemies. You know what I mean?
And it's got to mean something. It's got to feel like you're accomplishing something.
Right, exactly. And that's why I got to say, I've turned you on to a couple of TV shows over the last little bit, whether it was Resident Alien or I think I even suggested Blacklist during the pandemic when Summer and I were watching it all the way through.
Yeah. That's so good.
Little James Spader action. Right up there.
Yeah,
I would put that entire series almost equal to Jack's Back, the horror-ish thriller that he did where he plays twins.
I don't know if I've seen that.
Big fan. Very 80s, awesome. Relatively low budget, but he's fantastic in it. And I'm sure he watches it now after alcohol has had its way with him and looks back at sexy, rail-thin, Brad Pitt-looking James Spader in that with,
he was crazy looking.
Yeah, he was just like, in that movie especially, he just ripped. That's the best he ever looked. And they even, they have two shirtless scenes in it, and it's obvious they're like, the ladies will love this, right? So,
well, I know that Carrie Fisher says that her Return of the Jedi body was all cocaine.
Right, well, that's, it was also... that's a lot of 80s bodies, I think, in general.
Oh yeah.
It
was still good for you.
Well,
and not addictive.
Right. It was just yet another in God's stimulants that he put on the planet so that people could look down and see themselves when they were going to the bathroom. So Shelley Duvall famously railed out most of her life due to heavy consumption of stimulants, especially during The Shining when you're looking at her and you're going,
oh, for real?
If you're still eating food and you look like that, there's something else going on. That was like that game, cocaine or tapeworm. like that game. Anyways.
Yeah, it's a terrifying game.
It's a terrible game. It really is. So, right now, as much as I love Resident Alien, great show.
Yeah.
As much as I love my favorite program right now it's a toss-up. I've never had to choose between two. I've never had to decide, this one's like they're two great shows that are on at the same time before VCRs, before the reruns or whatever. And I got to tell you, MAGA versus Turning Points USA / Erica Kirk / Giant Conspiracy around the death of Charlie Kirk as a true crime masterpiece of paranoia and discontent it's this season is the best so far. Is masterfully written.
Nice.
You don't know you can tell that the plot is a little convoluted. Some of the characters, they're so all over the map that you're, like this Candace Owens character that they created. She's so all over the place that it starts to feel like the later seasons of Lost. You're like, these...
yeah. They just start adding random people.
Yes, and random bits of information like, what this key with the number 7 on it means. It's never going to mean anything. They're just baiting you in a wrong... It's all red herrings all the time. But it contributes to the tension, so it doesn't matter if she's right or wrong, right? That's the thing. And the other great program that's going on right now is Dan Bongholio versus everybody who ever said to anyone, even in passing, whether they meant it or not, that they want the Epstein files to come out. Like that, everyone who ever said that, who were committed to this as a maggot, who voted for Trump under the extraordinary delusion. Ladies and gentlemen, Trump derangement syndrome truly is the disease that you have to vote for Trump in the first place. You have to be deranged to think that Jeffrey Epstein's wingman is the guy who's going to finally get to the bottom of it. It's absurd.
Only he can do it.
Only he can do it. Because I guess it's set a thief to catch a thief or set a pedo to catch a pedo. Is that the idea?
To catch a pedo.
Yeah, right.
It almost sounds like Geppetto.
It does. And then you think about island little boys. What are they really trying to say? Why was he trying to make little wooden boy dolls to have around the house? And why was he kind of trying to keep them from becoming real boys? Because he didn't want to get in trouble again. Anyways, so...
Poor Geppetto for besmirching his character.
It's so wrong. Whatever.
Well, we know that Jiminy Cricket is the real toxic presence.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He gaslights like nobody.
Nobody. Yeah. Totally a failure. But the pinpoint, the nice thing about the Dan Bongholio versus all of MAGA is that there are a couple of there's a lot more representative characters. It's like a two-banger play that you go and see, which is waiting for Godot or something like that. Like two characters, full monologues, and the entire drama. So you don't really have to keep track of is that person that knocked on the door earlier, are they gonna come back in through a window at some point? Do I have to, am I having to start taking notes? Because, interesting enough, in the Lost episodes, that is the Erica Kirk versus everybody, the Bongholio versus everybody thing is just brute force. It's a lot more WWE, mainly because the lead characters in it are the human. They're like, to get all Pinocchio about it, they're like rubber mallets that came to life. You know what I mean? Like in some sort of cartoon where they're just whoop-bang, whoop-bang, whoop-bang. Right. Okay. The problem, and in discussing this, I love you, and I love the listeners, and I love being on the radio, but there are some limitations to dealing with this story because there's a lot of expletives in their conversations, both directions. And that's, and which is wonderful. When it happens, but you can't play it on the air. And they're not the kind of oopsie ones that we occasionally get here, when we bring on our dear friend Boston Brian, because anybody with that kind of accent. Yeah, well, no, but anybody with that kind of accent is going to have an accident. He's gonna F-bomb. I think it's just the law. If you have a really strong Boston accent.
Mandatory.
Yeah, it's like having like an Irish guest and they don't say the C word 6 or 7 times a sentence. It's just part of the package. Right. So what I will say is that Dave Smith, who isn't particularly funny and is becoming his claim to fame as a comedian is becoming the slightly more traditionally attractive, bro-ish looking Jimmy Dore. You know, why say? Why have jokes when you can pass off self-righteous exasperation as a punchline? You know, that's the people who go, right?
Nice.
I mean, who does that? So that's that. Just for the record, anybody who's not a big comedy aficionado and don't spend a lot of time in comedy clubs or haven't toured, around watching comics and seeing that kind of stuff or love the art form, that's not a punchline. That's something a jerk says in line at Starbucks about something that everybody sees, but everybody's not talking about because it would be rude to the baristas who are working their butts off. So that's not comedy. It ain't. And the more I think, and this is just some inside baseball from a comedian standpoint, the more your tendency is to do that, the more you find yourself going, am I right? If that's your reflex verbally, you more than anyone need to sit down and do some Mitch Hedberging. You need to sit down and write jokes.
Yeah.
You do not have the sort of Norm Macdonald ability to just kind of drift through a story and pepper it with
keep
funny
it going,
little side points. You don't have that ability. If you ever find yourself going, I mean, you know, who hasn't thought that? What's the deal? That if you're there, then you're not there yet, is my point. And there's a lot of that in the sort of political comedy arena because you get what I call clapter. Bill Maher gets that a lot at his shows. When he doesn't have the monologue written by the people on his show, when he does stand-up, gets a lot of clapter, which is people aren't actually laughing. They're just kind of smiling because they hear something they like, maybe because a blue comic in a red district or whatever, and they'll clap as opposed to actively laugh. And it's really like as someone who does political comedy and I guess social commentary comedy, because that's what I would kind of call my regular stuff.
Sure.
And I bifurcate the two. I do not overlap. I don't name names and do political stuff in my regular kind of stand-up shows, but in Sexy Liberal, I'm very detail-oriented, very specific, very, it's a daily slice, right? And I think that being aware of that line makes me hypersensitive to it. And the people who kind of cross over in a regular comedy club doing that kind of, political commentary stand-up, but no time to gel a joke from it, it gets really frustrating. So that said,
sure,
this is Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla. Whoever wins, they're still destructive and will ruin your town. And so there's nobody to root for in the Dave Smith versus Bongholio situation. But it's wonderful to watch. It's very entertaining, especially when they step on each other's electrical grid. But let's take a break. We'll be back right after this, and then I want to share with you my favorite moment of the week, where Trump basically said the quiet part out loud and has turned that into a business model, and then did old man stuff. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, now with 100% more. Johnny Million.
It's me.
All right, that's right.
You using the whole fist, Doc?
There you go. So, this is the hi chat room, by the way. Good to see you.
Short break back in 30.
Excellent, thank you.
Ooh, okay.
Whoops, sorry. I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Move this in here, and then we scoot this over here, and we go to those are the Johnny Millions, and there's our chat room, which is lovely.
Hi.
This is Damian Perdue of Think Theory Radio, Saturdays at 6 p.m. You're listening to Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. So there are headlines these days that can be very frustrating. They can be irritating. They can be kind of like, oh, again, or what's the new awful, right? We go through this all the time. But then there are sometimes these headlines that reaffirm things you know. They tell you you're on the right track. They tip you off to a direction that, you're like, you know what? There's a light at the end of the tunnel. and I'm not on the tracks, someone else is, and that light is a train, right? And in this particular case, I want to talk about this. So Donald Trump has this meeting with oil execs, and it is a blathering mess, ladies and gentlemen. It is ridiculous.
I don't think it went the way he thought it was going to go.
No, not at all. First of all, the premise of it is un-American and crappy, just crony capitalism nonsense. Like, it's just ridiculous to start with. And then he doesn't know who anybody is or what they do. He's like, these are the most powerful people in the world. And like 14 of these people are there. There's like 3 guys from the big oil companies, and the rest of them are shipping guys. They all operate boats. So they're by no means, like 11 of the guys had like 8 ships apiece or whatever that is, which is nothing to sneeze at. Good for you. Congratulations on, your career in barges, but get over yourself. Like, they didn't invent the iPhone. This is, you're digging goop out of the ground and figuring out a new way to burn it sometimes. Like, that's it. Simmer, okay? But he was like, these people are the most powerful, the richest, the greatest, which, by the way, also shows you how lost he is in the time scale. Like, he still thinks it's either 1978 or 1983, maybe 94, maybe mid-Obama. He's jealous of Obama's shale revolution, which is probably what this is. Honest to God, this, how everything he does is sort of him like getting revenge on Obama, just like, or anybody who's more famous than he is or more popular, certainly, which is almost everyone. With the exception of Dan Bongholio, which, again, we will get to in a moment. But Trump has this meeting with these oil executives to, like, tout how much they're going to spend in Venezuela. I can't stress this enough. This is not about U.S. investment. This is not drill, baby, drill. Okay? This is in the United States. This is not anywhere close to drill, baby, drill. Okay? This is an investment in Venezuelan oil. The most generous version of it, you could call it, is refine, baby, refine, because there are 8 or 10 refineries in the United States that were specifically designed to deal with the kind of goopy, viscous tar that comes out of Venezuela years ago, when we had a relationship with them. And Chevron made a deal with these refineries up here, and they would get it out, and the oil companies would get it out of Venezuela, and then they would ship it up to the United States. They would process it. It would go to market that way. So we would get a slice of it that way to kind of guarantee that it would be jobs and money coming back. And this is trying to get us out of the Middle East. So this was a process, all mitigatory processes, which makes sense at the time. But over time, obviously, you need to find a way out of it entirely, or you're just spinning your wheels geopolitically, security-wise. So there, a bunch of these places have been all but idle for a very long time, because since the Venezuelan oil kind of trade shut down by and large, till it slowed to a trickle, there's no other places we're getting that kind of oil that needs to be refined in those places. And it's not like they can just switch over, like you're at a pump and it says diesel or unleaded, and you can choose 3 different kinds of unleaded. And it doesn't work that way. Like, the entire plant, the temperature and the pressure and the, like, how it's moved, how it's processed, all of it is different.
They spent all that money in Canada while you couldn't get into Venezuela. That's
right. And the viscous, one of the reasons why they wanted the Keystone XL pipeline was because the kind of tar sands oil that was coming out of Canada is much more like the kind of stuff that comes out of Venezuela. So they were replacing that lack of product from Venezuela with this. They're going to with this Canadian goop, right? So the equipment was under sanctions. Repairs needed. Oh yeah, and the repairs, Thomas in our chat, will take a decade. There's no way we get to a point where they're making money and doing stuff, anytime soon. Certainly not, the end of Trump's term, which will be before the end of Trump's term, for the record. Which points to what I was talking about. So this terrible meeting where he doesn't know why anybody's there or what their job is or even the level of importance that they're in, or the fact that we have an oil glut right now and this oil coming online will just contribute to that lower price. And if you're not making an abject profit, what exactly are you going to use to drill? What exploration can you do if you have the same margin as target? If you have a 2% profit margin, which you owe to your shareholders, and just in case there's an emergency, right? Forget, extra stuff. There's contingency problems all the time. A well blows up and people are injured and you got to pay workman's comp and then your insurance goes up. And this happens all the time with these kind of things. And if you're that narrow, the idea that you're going to do more exploratory drilling in a country that has previously seized your work after a couple of years anyways, obviously Trump is not going to live forever, and obviously this country is going to have to be sovereign again at some point, and when it is, it'll do what it did the last 2 times it went through this cycle, which was seize everybody's work and either break it, shut it down, or take it for themselves. So in the middle of this ridiculous exercise and this pathetic attempt to try and distract from the Epstein files, which is what all of this is about, Trump gets up in the middle of his meeting and wanders towards the door to point at the big hole in the ground where the ballroom's going to be. As the Daily Beast puts it, Trump 79 wanders off to gaze at non-existent building. At one point, he does it without kind of much warning. So there are these great out of focus pictures of him where they're focusing at what he's looking at, which is just giant, like, dirt mover and, the ongoing construction there that, by the way, should be top secret. There should be a giant tent around the entire site all the time, because of where it's being dug and what it can show and what you can garner from knowing, details just by looking at it. So ridiculous. So he just got up. He goes in the middle of this thing, and the best picture is the one I'm showing on stream right now, which just looks like a boy looking for his lost dog. It looks like the kid from Old Yeller grew up and is pining to, for that dog to come from behind the barn one day. And, he ain't. He goes, at this point, he goes, we had many other, let's see. He goes, we had many others. He goes, I'm happy to invite all the biggest the most respected oil and gas executives in the world to the White House. We had many others that were not able to get in. I said, if we had a ballroom, we'd have over 1,000 people, 1,000 executives from oil and gas companies. That's what he's talking. It's like, it's hard to even fit the thought in your head. It's so full of helium. Everybody wanted to come. And by the way, everybody wanted. He didn't say to come. He just said everybody wanted. I never knew your industry was that big. I never knew you had that many people in your industry, but here we are. Then he goes, Trump then turned his head around to the window and door behind him and said, in fact, if you look, come to think of it, I've got to look at this myself, he said before getting up suddenly. J.D. Vance and Rubio smiled and bemused as the president wandered over the window and then gazed out at a construction site where his ballroom was being built. Wow, he said, looking at dirt. What a view. By Grabthaw's hammer. What a savings. He said, like this, where was it? He goes, we're ahead of schedule on the ballroom and under budget. Which is not true because they've just expanded the budget until it's bigger than what you would need to build it, which is still a secret anyways. So if it's 400 million, that's just for the building above it. Anything below it's going to cost double that. It's going to think of it as the public relations on a feature film. it's going to cost double whatever the budget of the film was. That's what happens whenever you build a government building, is, you know, or attachment to the White House, the Capitol, the underground there, the FBI building, any of the, you know, it's going to have an underground for safety's sake and security in a nuclear arsenal kind of a world that's going to be double the cost of whatever the building on top is. And that the building on top is still going to be really expensive. So, he goes, I don't think there will be anything like it anywhere in the world, actually.
Actually.
All right, what's it going to be shaped like? The brain trauma center here in Las Vegas that looks like it's the headquarters of a villain from a Doctor Strange movie. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the brain trauma hospital here in Las Vegas, but it's designed to, if you look at it, you'll think you have brain trauma. It's meant to be like a giant act of architectural cognitive dissonance. It's not. This thing's going to look like a bank when he's done. Of course it is. It's going to look like a giant white bank, dummy. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. I'm going to go wander off towards a window.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'll be back.
Look at that ballroom.
Wow. By Grabthar's hammer. What a savings.
He looks good.
Whew. He looks like hammered shit.
Yeah.
It's like, and when they're like laughing it off as he walks away. I'm gonna see if they play ads on this one before it goes. But
I remember my dad used to say embarrassing things, but never like this.
No, yeah, this is specific. This is a certain kind of prefrontal cortex damage and plaque that builds up that makes you, lose, your impulse control.
Yep.
Also, the slobber. Yeah.
Slobber.
Listen to it. Listen
is
to
he
how much.
Drooly?
Oh, he's got. His mouth is always water. He's got that Carol Channing
effect.
Oh,
yeah.
It's like a rally. Like his line about the rally. He's just using that now about exec meetings.
Stand by, coming back.
Thank you.
Now let's get back with House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
The sound of Trump, like, deciding, you can almost hear a slight gasp in the room when he decides to get up and wander towards the window.
Don't walk.
Yeah.
We can't hear his audio.
Yeah. Oh, you can't hear the audio? I beg your pardon. 1 second. I'll fix that. He goes, wah. Hold on. I will play it again because it's that good, ladies and gentlemen. Here you go. Hold on. This is the sound of Trump deciding to get up and walking to the window.
Look at this myself.
Hold on. Wait. I want to go back a little further.
But here we are. And if you look, come to think of it, well, I got to look at this myself. Wow.
Dude.
What a view.
This is, look, I know we do this sometimes, Johnny Million. I know we've done the whole, like, all during the first term, it's like, if Obama had ever, but if Biden did this in the middle of a cabinet meeting or a meeting with executives from the oil and gas executive, good Lord.
It would be on Fox News on repeat.
On a loop.
Is the door to the ballroom. What did you? Unusual time to look, but I figure we might as well do it.
Unusual time to look, but I suppose we should do it. What the?
Unusual time to look, but I figure we might as well do it.
I figure we might as well do it.
If the fake news would like to go back and take a look, you can, but you'll see a very big foundation that's moving. We're ahead of schedule in the ballroom and under budget.
Good Lord. Like, I gotta tell you, like, there are very few moments in any of this that shock or surprise me.
Yeah.
They just don't exist. And then this comes along and you're just like, okay, he's done. He's cooked. And
it's so not good.
No. And like, I always think about like, that's what we see. Okay. This is the thing. That's the stuff that somebody's saying he probably had to fart. Believe me, he doesn't care. He does it all the time. I've caught him on air a couple of times, just crop dusting his own staff anytime he wants to. Like, he soils himself. He has, like...
There's got to be truth in that.
Yes, he's been giving remarks, and the whole time people are behind him. You can just see them turning green. He wouldn't go to the window to do it. He's this close. He is 6 weeks away from asking little Marco, who he now thinks is his grandson, to pull his finger. It's gonna happen.
Have you seen any of the clips of Marco being so geeked out on cocaine that he can barely like not interrupt the reporters?
No, I don't.
Oh, you have not. Oh, it's amazing. He's like, and he thinks everything he has to say is like the funniest thing in the world, and he's got like all these little sides. Oh, it's really bad. He's on the Trump Adderall program.
Oh yeah. Well, that doesn't surprise me. But of course, now as the president of Venezuela / Colombia / Cuba. I mean, he's got to be that makes you automatically the top product tester, right? Like, you got to make sure that, believe me, oil isn't the cash crop. So, and it isn't fentanyl either. We'll feel free to look up some of those if you want to screen share them with me. I'll see if I can throw them in, Johnny Million, at some point in the near future.
Okay,
we'll keep a little Marco Coke watch going on. This I gotta say, this week was so messed up that Jesse the Body Ventura came out of semi-retirement. To call him a draft-dodging coward. That guy.
Yeah, that was actually probably one of my favorite things he's ever done.
Oh my God, yeah. And you can tell also, this is part of it. I don't think Jesse Ventura was never afraid of Trump or whatever, but maybe just felt like stepping back for fear that maggots might come after him and just make his life hell, and who needs it at this point in his life? You know what I mean? But there is clearly a veil has lifted. There's clearly this drop in in concern over the power that MAGA, or that Trump would have to send MAGA to your door. And that there's enough division amongst maggots that it almost it seems with this whole Candace Owens stuff, we're if we're not already there, we're very close to the point where if a bunch of maggots were sent to attack a Democrat, half of MAGA right now would go, maybe the Democrat just said something right about Epstein. Maybe that person's a good guy because Trump is sending us to attack them. That in and of itself. Also, by the way, after the kidnapping of Maduro's wife, There was a warrant for Maduro, so you can make some sort of argument that there was a legal reason for nabbing him or whatever. They'll try to do it. I disagree, but you can try to make one. Insofar as his wife, though, I'm very comfortable calling that a kidnapping. It's not difficult at all. I'm good with that. But at the same kind of oil presser thing that he was doing, apparently, Zelensky made a joke about, he goes, well, what I can say is, if you can do that with dictators, then the United States knows what to do next. He was winking and nodding at like, well, if you're going to snatch up a dictator who treats his people like crap and is responsible for attacking the United States and killing lots of Americans, look no further than Vladimir, Ilyich Putin. And he said the only thing that's stopping him from going after Putin, he goes, I don't need, and this is from an interview he did with the New York Times. I don't need international law. He claimed that the only thing that can stop his global interventions is his own morality. God help us. Lack thereof is more like it. He goes, my own mind is the only thing that can stop me. Well, what's left of it.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he starts whining about the Russia-Ukraine war because he thought, I guess, Putin owed him a favor, or he bought the line that Putin sold him that said, you're gonna, I'll tell you what, you get elected and I'll help you get elected, and then you let me have part of Ukraine and we'll call it quits and we'll just stop where we are and we'll keep this peace and we'll save it for later, make it somebody else's problem, and you'll look like $1 million. We'll help another Republican get elected after you, that kind of stuff. You'll get rich afterwards. There'll be Trump Tower Moscow and nobody can stop you after your next term. By the way, anybody who thinks that Trump is going to stop the midterms or run for re-election in 2028, if he's even, an ambulatory conscious mass of cells at that point, has to remember that he ain't got that much time left, and he does not want to run out the clock, being a prisoner of a job that he doesn't want to do in the first place. What he thinks he's going to do is feather his own nest and get out of there and live high on the hog for the rest of his life, which he imagines, I suppose, is 20 more years at least, which is insane.
He must.
Right. That's what he thinks. It's clear from his actions. It's clear from his reasoning in this. But he started talking about Russia, and remember, he said he was going to solve this with one phone call before he was even sworn in, right? That was the promise. It was reiterated over and over again, so much so that it reeked of propaganda. And he goes, and now he's saying, I thought this one would be the middle of the pack, or maybe one of the easier ones. Okay, first of all, Trump doesn't care about any other wars. It's a little silly. The Iran-Pakistan dust-up didn't happen until he was already in office this time around. It was going to end anyways because they have these terrorist dust-ups over Kashmir all the time. It was a fantasy that he somehow stopped a nuclear war, but everybody's kissing his butt to stop tariffs because they think he's got the unilateral right to have them. Once that goes away, watch all the butt-kissing grind to a halt, and the criticism will come right back. As soon as tariffs are in the hands of the Congress again, that's that. No more Macron handshakes for this dummy, because Ukraine has the ability to fight for the next 2 years, and Donald Trump's brain does not. So, anyways, he goes. He talks about how much we're not losing any money. We're making a lot of money. I guess if you think of it, because we're selling to them, to NATO, military equipment, we're getting full price and all of that. That's not a big deal to me. What the big deal is, there were 30,000 people killed. He's raised that number or whatever. And he said the only thing stopping him, though, is his own mind from seizing
in so many ways.
Putin. Yeah. Well, the only thing I think between him and a cogent thought is probably his
By the way,
mind.
I put the link. I finally found the Rubio thing. I put it in the chat.
Okay, great. I'll pop that out in a second and see if I can bring it up. But the where are we? There we go. Yeah. Oh, I see. It's a TikTok. That makes sense.
Yeah, but it's PBS.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay, so at least we have language won't be a problem, I suppose, in this particular instance, right?
Right. No, not at all.
Yeah. I'm getting like, this is ridiculous. Hold on. Drag that over there. Whoops. Come back. Try again.
And you'll see it right out of the gate.
Okay.
You don't have to play the whole 2-minute clip.
Yeah. Oh, this is a lot like his water dodge before.
Yeah.
You know, that's the issue. And it shouldn't come as any surprise that he's doing a lot of sniffing and a lot of fidgeting, a lot of swallowing, a lot of dry mouth. Yeah, he's got that. George W. Bush, tooth grind thing going on too. The kind of like lick your teeth and then grind them. The cocaine grind. But again, could it be cocaine? Absolutely. I don't know. I'll take your word for it. I've never done drugs, so I'm only an observer from the outside. But I will say this: that White House is chock full of people, grinding, like chewing Adderall and modafinil, nonstop.
Yeah.
Hal Vickery saying check his pupils. Like, he's like me. He's got brown eyes. It's much harder to do unless you're up close. Yeah. Like, my eyes are so dark. That's the problem with having.
How dark are they?
They're so dark. I look stoned. They look dilated from a block away, I guess. I look like I fail every concussion test just because they're like, is that pupil or just eyeball? All right. But yeah, so not surprising at all that that young Marco, little Marco, would be, depending on the hours that they're in, would be grinding away at something to reset his body clock or keep him awake and running at full steam or whatever. And then you get really used to that feeling, I'm guessing. And then right?
That's one way to put it.
Yeah, you just get used to it. Yeah, becomes your new, you're not addicted. It's just the new norm, you know? And everybody's saying he can't feel his teeth. Okay, so maybe people in the chat room, bless their hearts, who are a lot more storied on this, can educate me on this, because let's take a break. When we come back, so I know that one of the side effects from Adderall and all this stuff, because as I think it was when I was doing a bit about Ben Shapiro, I looked it all up because his chattery, high-pitched voice, I was like, this has got to be just Adderall wearing a human suit, right? So I looked up all the side effects and what it makes you like and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things it does is makes you salivate. So you start getting that extra, you start getting extra water in your mouth for whatever reason. Maybe it raises your metabolism and you start just eliminating water, so you sweat and salivate, and maybe that's what it is.
It's kind of like how coffee makes you pee. It's that on steroids.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So that made sense. But cocaine, I just know that it makes girls in miniskirts have to run to the bathroom and take a disco dump. That's all I've ever heard about is the elimination factor. We'll be back.
That's
right
one of my
this.
favorite Frank Zappa songs.
Disco dump? Yeah. Yeah. We went to break, like we were ejected to break on that one. That was good. It was like, all right, you guys,
took
simmer.
Us to break. Thank you, Chicago.
Yeah, thank you. Eject. Hal's about to say disco dump. Which is technically legal to say on the air, but what?
He said short break. He wants to get back to the disco dump talk.
Yeah, is that what they also, a short break? Is that what they also call a disco dump?
The short break.
Yeah.
Right back.
Now back to Hal Sparks on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
So, maybe people are there.
This is a class act. We're doing it.
Is. Well, again, there are. You could in many ways, like I've started calling this the snafu presidency, because the situation is normal and it's all effed up. And we had Doc Adam on the show a little bit ago, and he predicted Trump's got 3 to 5 months left as a functional human being, even within the limits that he is currently.
I'm really tired of the 3 to 5 months because it's been 3 to 5 months for 3 to 5 months. I need this to just get over with, please.
Well, his 3 to 5 months, to give him credit, was about a month ago, about 3.5 weeks ago. So we're
all right. Okay.
We're 2 months to 5 days. And by the way, in that time window, Donald Trump got up at a meeting of oil executives and went to look out the window. Like, okay, like true story. My grandfather had Alzheimer's, and it's one of the reasons my dad feared it his whole life. My dad did not end up having it at the end of his life, but it was a big concern for him. Probably largely environmental for that generation.
Yeah.
Because he'd been through World War II and all kinds of other stuff. There's God knows what the Industrial Revolution did to a kid his age in the 1920s or 10s. So not surprising that, he might have had some, heavy metal buildup and corrosion in the brain and all kinds of stuff that causes that kind of thing. So when my grandfather got to the advanced phase of it, before when they realized, he needs to go in a home. I very distinctly remember this. Now, I remember it happening. I don't remember seeing it because I was little. Or I wasn't little. I was like a teenager, but I was like focused on my
you were
nephew.
little.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I've always. Oh, shut up, dude. Tall people humor. Anyways, my grandfather started doing this thing where he had to go check the trunk of the car. And I was like, is this when we find out that my grandfather was a serial killer and he's still concerned about the evidence? But for real, he would get up, like if we were at a restaurant or something like this. And I remember very distinctly, there was a restaurant I could draw you a picture of. It was like a Pizza Inn. And we were having dinner, mixed group of cousins and family. We went to have dinner at this place. And my grandfather just got up and left the table. And I didn't really think much of it. But my dad told me later, he's got this thing where he now has to check the trunk. He's just got to get up. He has this urge to just go check the trunk of the car, whatever that is. And it's, look, I used to get snuck into drive-ins in the trunk of a car. So I'm glad, you know what I mean? Maybe that's what he was worried about, like, are the kids still in the trunk from when we saw that double feature? Right? So, whatever it was, that started to happen. And that was a big red flag that they were going to have to, he couldn't drive anymore. And they were worrying about his judgment because this was a weird impulse and it would come over him unawares in the middle of important stuff. And heavens, there may have been a moment where he pulled over and needed to check the trunk while he was driving and didn't pull all the way over to the side of the road, that kind of stuff, right? That's the kind of thing that would happen. This Trump getting up and looking out the window reeks of that. It had the exact same energy.
And he kind of caught himself.
Yeah. Odd time to look out the window, obviously.
I know what you're going to say. I look insane.
That's right, because
I do it because I have like a good memory, because I'm cognitively there.
Yeah, and by there he means in a giant hole in the backyard.
I've never had to say that.
What?
That I'm cognitively there. Like I never have to like press that and like try to convince anybody of this.
Yeah, that's one of those things that folds very well into the methinks my lady doth protest too much zone of things.
Yeah.
I don't think all defensiveness is based on false accusations or because if you've been called something over and over that you aren't, you would naturally be defensive about it. So there's a natural, genuine defensive. But then there's also this kind of like, you seem pretty sensitive about something that you think was handled, right? You think this was settled. So, I don't know. Our dear friend Phil is in the let's see if I can bring him in a moment. We'll bring him in after the first of the hour. But there was another example, and I'll now obviously in all deference to the situation, they're talking. The title of this article was "Raging Trump Screamed Profanities at Defecting Senate Republican in Explosive Phone Call." Now, not surprising at all. And especially when you find out it was Susan Collins. because I think we've all wanted to rage and scream profanities at Susan Collins at certain times, especially when you're like, well, I'm thinking about it, you know, and you're like, oh, dear God. But this is an increased, this is, according to two sources familiar, a fuming Trump Donald Collins, the foremost Senate GOP centrist, during the vote aimed at blocking the White House from using military force against Venezuela. He called her and then basically read her the riot act in a profanity-laced shouting session. Trump reportedly told her she is undermining his authority over the military and national security. He was very mad about the vote, very mad, very hot. Collins is notorious, blah, blah, blah. The two principal Democratic candidates for Senate and Maine are Janet Mills, the incumbent governor, and Graham Plattner, a harbor master and oyster farmer during, running a progressive outsider campaign. It's going to be Janet Mills. You just silly people. Like Plattner has all this awful baggage. It's silly. But then he publicly condemned her. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Rand Paul, Josh Hawley, and Todd Young should never be elected to office again. Well, hey, you know what? Miracles can happen, Johnny Million. I agree. Yeah. I agree with dumb old Trump here. I agree. None of these people should ever be elected. As a matter of fact, the world would be a lot better and safer and kinder if a Democrat held that seat. Yeah. And yes, even a Fetterman Democrat. There, I said it. It wouldn't matter.
Oof.
Like,
God,
think about these guys.
Bonkers.
Think about these guys. Think about what the actual votes are. These guys, and they joined with Democrats. Now, why? Why did they join with Democrats in this? Because the more Republicans actually have to govern, where they're actually responsible for results, the more they sound like Democrats. The more they vote like Democrats. If you want to know a state is safe or a House seat is safe or whatever, and they don't really have to rely on showing anything to their voters, then they will vote with Trump every time, or pretend to, or they're making themselves rich in this process, and so they know which side the butter is on their bread, as it were, and so they're voting in their own self-interest. But if they need to get reelected, and to do that, they need to actually show some real results, they're going to sound a hell of a lot. A hell of a lot like Democrats. So it is a clear turn of amongst them that they're having to do this.
Once it involves constituents, they actually make sense.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the other things about this is not so much that he called and he was mad and he was very hot and he was yelling and he was swearing and blah, blah, blah. But the idea that he was going to somehow convince her to come around to his way of thinking and change what she was doing through this behavior is ridiculous. So art of the deal nonsense. He's got one particular channel that works on his clicker right now. That's it. Like, he is just stuck on 3. And there's no art of the deal when you're basically just, crayons and hammers. And that's what he's doing right now. He is writing his name across a giant piece of a page from Project 2025 and then playing whack-a-mole with any dissent within his own party, which is growing all around him. And he was never good at whack-a-mole to begin with. Again, they have lost enough votes where if they lose one more, it is literally guaranteed, however the election goes next year, that in the midterms, that Democrats will take the House. One. And we're already leaning and outperforming everywhere. So, and they know this. That's what all the gerrymandering is about. Then you go to the Senate. The Senate will never be nervous. Senators have a 6-year term, longer than a president in the United States. And let me tell you, voters out there, one little thing. That if you don't stand behind the Democrat you voted for at least 2 cycles, they're never going to be afraid of you. They know that they can manipulate you into standing down at any time. And so when you're that big, bold piece of legislation for healthcare that you want, they know that when their senator walks in there and holds it up in front of them, and says, this is what the American people want, the Republicans respond to Democrats by going, no, they don't. 20% of your people want more than that, and so they won't vote for you if you don't get it. And I'm not giving you this. So you give all the ammo if you have an inconsistent vote and you're constantly, quote unquote, holding people's feet to the fire after day one. The idea, I mean, I think it was Cornel West who literally right after Barack Obama had been elected, like the weekend after he had been elected, was on television saying we have to hold Obama's feet to the fire. No. Midway through the second term, if he's running out of runway, maybe you have an argument for complaining about this. But the guy who brought you the ACA and every supplemental infrastructure thing until we had an actual infrastructure act and kept the country from going into a depression didn't need his feet held to the fire. He needed to be held up on our shoulders because that you support the candidates because they represent you. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. Okay, give me 1 second. We'll go to preview mode. Then we'll go to 2 guests, 1 cup. And sorry.
You
Ew. Right. Is exactly right. Phil, I'm going to bring you in 1 second. There they are. I can find the guest 1. Should be the Johnnies and the Millions. And guest, there you go. And then guest 2 should be Phil and the Itners. Excellent. And then cool. And let's see. Oh, I know what I have to do. Okay. And then on this one, then I'll go to this. So go to publish and go back to live mode. And there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Philip Bittner. Can you hear us okay, Phil?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Hey, Phil.
Awesome. And we go to green screen for Johnny Million.
Somebody went to the barber.
Me?
Looks like it.
Oh, by no means. No. My hair's just not pulled back as hard.
Didn't get a little something off the top?
Not really. No, I just didn't pull it back as hard. I'm getting better at ponytail. It's got layers in it, I guess. So I'm getting better at ponytailing this way instead of doing the whole like gymnast pullback. I give myself bangs.
Yeah. Okay.
Something like that.
It's a look.
And I'll waggle my wig. All right. Monty Python anyway? Okay, so there we go. We put Johnny Million in here. And then the other thing, too, is I got to simmer my Johnny Millions down and squeeze this. There you go. Hey.
There you go.
Oh, that's great.
That's all right.
Am I better? Oh.
You're okay. You're just fine. Hold on. We'll bring this back on this thing, and then I'll move you over. There you go. Much better.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. All right. We've got a couple minutes left, and obviously, I don't know if you heard the whole thing.
Johnny, what are you doing? What is your background? What are you?
I'm flying through. I'm like in Tron, I think.
Yeah, or
I know you're kind of like Blade Runner kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it's the Get Smart hallway.
Oh my God, you're right. It is the.
I forgot about that.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is.
Johnny's hacking the Matrix. Yep.
Missed it by that much.
Right. Okay, and then we go to here. I'm gonna set this up.
Oh, I had such a crush on Agent 99.
Oh dear God.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Oh my God. Oh, she was oof.
Pivotal. As we say. Pivotal. Like
definite touchstone.
Yeah. Like Aaron Gray pivotal.
Something.
Look out. Uh-oh. Simmer down.
Bionic Woman.
Uh-huh. Let's go.
Back in 20.
You know, she never really did it.
No?
Agent 99,
Lindsay Wagner?
yes. Agent.
Yeah, Lindsay Wagner.
Come on. I mean, she's doing, you know, I mean, obviously, nobody's stupid. But Agent 99. Oof.
Understood. I don't think we're having to choose here. So.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I've had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being so charming.
Video streaming at halsparks.com.
I don't care for you if a putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Puss-face little pimp stick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Welcome back to the show. Joining us right now from Kyiv in Ukraine is our dear friend Philip Ittner, who is alive and well and healthy and doing okay, and that's a wonderful thing. I have to say, right out of the gate, we talked a little bit, Phil, about Zelensky's remarks when about after Maduro was taken, where Trump said, you and I spoke earlier this week about after Maduro was taken, Zelensky having this kind of like, well, you know, obviously they know what to do. If right, you know, next if they're going to snatch dictators, I have some recommendations. Was basically the take, right?
Well, you know, yeah, I mean, he is still a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good line, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very funny kind of, you know, like, well, if we're grabbing people, I got a guy.
Right. Yeah.
You know, which is a great, you know, pithy thing to say. But
yes,
if we want to make this a serious conversation, he's right. He's right. Vladimir Putin is a war criminal.
Yes.
No,
he is 100% a war criminal. So
yeah,
and next
not
time
even
he steps outside of Russia, let's grab him.
That's right, and not even in the kind of area where there's like some margin of, well, drugs kill people and they're technically weapons of mass destruction. The reach that he's using. To try and turn Maduro into an Al Qaeda member, which is the methodology. This is what they're talking about. They specifically are using that tool.
Let's just forget the fact that the head of state of the Russian Federation actually had rape squads.
Yes, right.
In Ukraine. I'm sorry, Jenny. I mean, yes. Let's say that Venezuela was flooding the market with cocaine, primarily in Europe. Putin sent people to abduct children.
Tens of thousands of children.
Tens of thousands of children.
Yeah.
And sent them to homes in Siberia. Vladimir Putin sent criminals that he had taken out of prisons and sent them here to conduct heinous acts of violence and criminality. But
but 6 of one, half dozen of another. Yeah. Right. The similarities are striking. I will say that there is a maybe a crossover criticism that comes from this, where you can go to one of the big reasons they view for attacking Tren de Aragua or these, the cartels and whatever is human trafficking, right? This is also a big part of this, human trafficking, right? This is beyond just drugs. One of the things that they are trafficking in is children and women and men and, labor and sex trafficking and all this stuff, right? And this is one of the reasons why maggots, by and large, buy in on Trump's attack on Tren de Aragua or on MS-13 or the cartels themselves, even though it's interesting how they play fast and loose with what human trafficking actually means. Like, because if you pay a coyote to come across into the United States so that you can get a job, they'll call that human trafficking. But what Matt Gaetz did to a 17-year-old girl doped up on ecstasy, from Florida to Georgia isn't. Okay, sure. Allegedly, by the way, I guess. Until that trial happens, and which I'm not holding my breath, but there you go. But if they care that much about human trafficking, and they're all like Cry of Freedom, the Jim Caviezel movie, right, about human trafficking and stuff in South America and all that. It's interesting that they're not equally outraged with the children being taken from Ukraine, equally outraged.
Yeah. Look, I gotta say, Hal, I have been back for about 10 days, and I am at a inflection point in what I want to do here.
Sure.
And the reason why that is because something that is tangential to what we're talking about when we talk about Matt Gaetz, or we talk about what we did in Venezuela.
Yeah.
Do we care about what's happening here?
Yeah.
Do we? I know you and I do.
Right.
Johnny, I know you do as well.
Yeah.
And I know that there are lots of people who care about what is happening in Ukraine, but I am at I'm at a point, and if I'm being perfectly honest with you, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Sure.
Do people care? Do people care? Do people in the West and in America, do they care about the fact that tens of thousands of children have been stolen from this country? Do people care about the fact that 2 hours ago I had to put on a helmet and a body armor, piece of body armor, and go into the corner of my flat because we were getting we're on Saturday. We were getting the bejesus bombed out of us. Who cares? Who cares? Do we care? Do we care?
Yeah, and
here's
what I would say.
The point is,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, the point is, let me. There is so much happening around the world. Venezuela, what's happening domestically in the United States with a woman being shot dead in her car in Minnesota. These are all very, very important things. But this is still happening.
Yep.
This war is still happening. And the consequences of this war will change the landscape of the Western world. It will change the landscape of liberal democracy.
Yep.
So do we care?
Yeah. Well, okay. That is a great question, both for our chat room and and in the abstract, I can understand why you would be asking that question. What I would say is that with that question coming up, it has been my experience that the closer you get to what feels like a breaking point, the horizon is just beyond it, just over the other side of it. That's, you often get to that point right as something's about to break. I don't take total credit for the band Steel Panther staying together, but there was a point where they were going to break up, and I had a conversation that it was basically backstage. Are you guys insane? And and then months later they're doing great.
No, I make this question. I pose this question
right to the
because
people.
I am making the point that at some point we in the West have got to decide whether we are going to support a people who desire independence and sovereignty and their own story to be told. And I just don't know if people care. And and part of this is me being a guy who has spent 4 years of his life dedicated to this because I believe it's important. I really do. I really, to the core of my being, believe that this is important. And I am now going into my 4th year of this, and I don't like issues of what happened in Minnesota, like issues of what is happening in Venezuela. I wonder whether or not the better nature of our human character is winning, and I don't know. I really don't, and I'm going to keep doing this as long as I can. But I also have to recognize that if I'm streaming into the void, what's the point?
Sure. Well,
So,
yeah, okay. Yes.
We have these issues, and we must deal with them. But what I am crying out to people, whether it is the disgusting incident in Minneapolis, or whether it is Venezuela, or whether it is rape squads in
Bucha,
Ukraine.
right?
I look. At what point do we really stand up and say we have morals, we have beliefs, we have things that are important to us, and we have to stand by them? And we're going to be putting out an episode, God willing, tomorrow, with an episode with a young lady who was she left Poltava in Ukraine when she was 15 years old, moved to Chicago, lived a chunk of her life in Chicago, returned to Ukraine about 3 years ago, and got in touch with her grandmother and got reestablished links with friends and family and etc. in Poltava, and the suffering and the pain that she was eyewitness to is, who talks about it?
Yeah.
So,
well,
anyhow.
Okay. I one of the reasons why the world is not talking about it as much is because of the amount of chaos going on currently. And let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the mix and how much of it is tied back to Russia and its invasion of Ukraine. That Russia is the pivot point on so much of the conflict we're seeing on the planet, and Donald Trump's relationship with Vladimir Putin is also pivotal to why certain areas are popping off and the violence that's happening in all those places. And I don't think it's going the way that Trump and Putin want it to. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Yeah, let's see if this. I want to see if my Windows.
I'm just a little tired.
Oh yeah,
I completely understand.
I'm amazed that this isn't your attitude 90% of the time, Phil.
Yeah, it's Johnny's, and he's not even there.
Yeah, I'm not even going through it. You're preaching to the converted.
We're gonna one day in Chicago, you and I will sit down and we'll have some good Ukrainian food. But I guess I'm exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm exhausted. This is so obviously.
Hold on, we're coming back.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So I can share that there have been several times over the last little bit as Trump got driven out of office and then reelected that I've had similar feelings about, like, what are we even doing here? Are people even listening?
Yeah.
Am I making any headway? Is there any ground to be made at all? Are people just awful now? Is awful the new normal? Is that it, right? And I would argue no. And it sometimes takes something extraordinary for people to wake up to that fact. And quite frankly, sans the Iran bombing and the Maduro's wife kidnapping, because like I said, you might have had a warrant for him, but I don't get how you get to snatch her too, whatever that is.
Weird.
And put her on trial next to him, because that's how we're doing this. So Melania, I'm just saying, I would get a lawyer at some point. Somebody that's familiar with The Hague, maybe. But if that's how stuff works now, I almost said it. So the key in this, though, is that what's going on in Iran, what's going on in Venezuela, what's going on even with Trump is tied to Ukraine. It is all the same thing. And it's interesting to me that of all the people that are suddenly by Trump's side again, alongside this Venezuela thing, is probably the most outspoken Russia hawk on the Republican side, which is Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham, has been, of all of his obvious curious flaws, a glass closet door being, singularly the best well known. One of the things that, he has been very consistent about is Ukraine can win, and the Russians, this is a unique opportunity for the world to put Russia in its place, because Russia picked this fight, and it's its fight to lose. And we need to keep supplying them. He was, instrumental in shepherding through, along with every Democrat. Let's also put this out there. Every Democrat is voting to support Ukraine, give more funding to them, help them get through this.
And his idealized buddy, John McCain.
Yes.
They were thick as thieves. And McCain was... I have my problems with Ukraine, with McCain, but one thing that I certainly agreed with him on was Vladimir Putin is a criminal, and he's he's somebody who we need to oppose.
Yes,
and to have Lindsey Graham on Air Force One, absolutely.
And not just Russia directly, but
I am making a visible. I know we're on radio, and I would love to say what I'm doing.
I understood.
But, what the HE double hockey sticks, and I'm saying this because we work hard.
Yeah.
On the edge. I have people who work with me who are dedicated to what they're doing, and they work hard to try and bring to the rest of the world the point that this war is incredibly important, not only to Ukraine, but to the Western world.
Yeah.
And it seems so often that we are just shouting into the void, and we are not being heard. And you see a woman getting shot in Minnesota or in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And we all saw that. We all saw that. And it's the point I'm trying to make is that at what point do we say no? No.
Oh, well, here's okay. Yeah, I'm with you on this, but let me tell you something. I'm not ready to move on from, how some people are like, we need to look forward. We need to look back at how we got here in this regard. And the way this woman, I've said multiple times, the bullet struck this woman in Minneapolis, but the trigger was pulled in Mar-a-Lago. And if you want to go even further back, it was pulled in the voting booth on November 5th of 2024. The reality is that the voters decided they were either okay with this, or they thought it was all bluster, or they bought into it secretly and voted for Trump, while lying to their family members because they couldn't take Brown Lady. And that's it. And so
the children that have been killed in pediatric hospitals in Ukraine, and the
paying for it.
Men and women who have been tortured and abused, it's the same. It's in many ways, it's the same desire to look away.
Right.
Always look away. And I'm at a point, Hal, where I don't know as I can continue to do what I do with On the Edge and speaking with you and Tom Hartman on a weekly basis. At what point do we say no? When? Where? When does it become unacceptable? And I think we should have been there a long time ago.
Oh, well, okay. I
not.
will say this. We have been. I'll tell you what. Those that
you
do
and
think,
I have been.
No,
Johnny
but I mean also.
I
mean, Democrats in the House and the Senate are also there. They just don't materially have the power to do anything unless Republicans come over and join them. So we have effectively neutralized Democratic opposition through the numbers because our own voter base, 6 million of them, stayed home. That's it. And again, people can buy into whether Elon Musk stole the election, and if that turns out to be true, I'm happy to eat my words. But it never should have been that close. The same thing with, this goes back to Gore and Bush. If anybody who thinks Gore would have gone into Iraq the way Bush did is a lunatic, and the idea that 9/11 had to even happen is absurd. Because Gore would have read his presidential daily brief. And so there's no way that Harris would be sending an armada off of Venezuela and abducting the leader. They would have raised the bounty on him and had somebody inside that country do it if they so wanted it to. But we have an oil glut right now. There is no reason to seize those resources. If all of Russia's oil comes online tomorrow because they remove the sanctions, the oil price will crash. It'll go to $25 a barrel. It's moronic. Yeah. They're living in the past. We have idiots that are running there. But what we have is the voters have by and large started to come around. Trump has terrible numbers. People are outraged. There are people protesting in the streets. We have these No Kings rallies. That kind of stuff is happening. But the problem is we have put ourselves in a position because of our own voting bloc where there will be no material recourse until the House comes back into the hands of Democrats, if not the Senate too. That's it. You can care all you want, but until you can turn that caring into some sort of material change, it doesn't matter. Outrage does not create legislation or put somebody behind bars. Outrage will never do that. Only votes will. No. Only. And people I think they've committed to it now. But
people on the street. We need to be on the streets. But the point I am making You know, because you and I, work trying to make points, trying to
draw attention. Yes,
draw attention
give perspective, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I am in a place where I'm frustrated that we aren't doing more than we should. And I, look, people have lives, people, all of the rest of it. But whether it is what is happening in the United States or Venezuela or here in Ukraine, we are all of us involved in the human experiment. And these things are not right. What is happening is not right. And I just.
Well, no, I'm totally with you. And I understand the sentiment.
Maybe I'm having a day.
We're about to get it.
Having a day.
That's okay. You're allowed to have a day. You're absolutely have every right to. But I will say this: that in the middle of that having a day, I'm sure there are people within Zelensky's cabinet and people who are in, during the periods where it looked like arms were going to be choked off entirely, or people who are, rotating back to the front lines because there's just strictly not enough people in this country that's been attacked by a country 3 times its size. Or in Donald Trump's circle where he seems to be flipping all over the place, or imagine being Tulsi Gabbard's alarm clock right now. You know what the joke is, and we got to take a break, but we come back. You know what they call, what they say DNI stands for in the White House now? Do not invite, because they keep her out of every meeting. Why is that? Because Lindsey Graham and everybody are making sure that arms are going to Ukraine, and Trump has bought into that side, and he feels tough and resilient against Putin for the first time or whatever. Yeah. He feels like he's more and more.
I'm sorry to be a bummer, but
you're not being a bummer. You're not. You're speaking your truth, and there's it's a genuine feeling. I'm with you.
More.
We absolutely could. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Mega Worldwide.
Yeah.
I just.
Yeah.
I will be right back, gentlemen.
Yep.
I'm going to mute so you do not hear me fiddle.
Uh-oh.
Got a cat? Got a cat situation?
No. No, Johnny, you're wearing your wireless. Oh, Johnny. You're wearing Johnny, you got your wire. Oh, man. That's rough. Johnny. Mute. Johnny, mute. Johnny. Mute. It does this every time. Johnny. That's. All right, that's enough.
Little sweet. I mean,
it must be. Huh? Yep. Yeah, a little tweet at the end. Yeah.
Captain's log.
I'm damn tired of this shit. And we're off there, so I can swear. I'm fucking tired of this.
Yeah, so I get it. Yeah.
I mean, come on, guys. Come on. It's not hard. They're sending rape squads into a sovereign nation.
Back in 20.
Thanks, Chicago. So I won't swear. I got my one swear out.
That's right.
Get it out now.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
It's a Tourette's break.
It just drives me nuts. It just.
Yeah.
Of course it does.
Okay.
By the way, I could hear everything.
Hal Sparks on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
So to get to the material reality of the circumstance that we are still in, as famously Nick Fury said, if until the world decides to stop spinning, we will act as if it continues to spin on. And and in this particular instance, every day, in keeping with what I was mentioning earlier, is that we seem to be getting closer and closer to a line that was punted out of place. You know how they used to talk about the Iran getting a nuclear weapon, and they got all this footage of different people saying they're 2 months away or they're 6 months away, but nobody shows the part where there was either an attack from the Israelis or a sanction, or in the case of, we overspun their centrifuges, which is one of my favorite hacker stories of all times, where a bunch of hackers from the United States overspun the centrifuges in a nuclear laboratory in Iran and destroyed them all. And then before they fried all the computers, they had all the speakers in the place play "Thunderstruck" by AC/DC, which is just awesome. Like all of those, they always leave that part out when they talk about people saying they're always 2 months away from this kind of, from it failing. Thank you. And then the same thing is true of sort of Russia losing to Ukraine or seeing defeat, is that Russia has repeatedly gotten reprieves from either Trump dialing stuff back, Republicans, interrupting the flow of stuff, and certainly the asymmetrical warfare that they have been paying for inside the United States through the Tenet Media stuff and Dim Pool and all those idiots. And then recently, I played a monologue on my show of Tucker Carlson that was the most absurd defense of Russia I have heard in ages. Cartoonish levels of Scott Ritter fanboydom. The only kind of the stuff you would only say if Russia has promised you a string of live girls or dead boys to play with. And in Tucker Carlson's case, it may be either or both. And and he was saying, we need Russia. That was his big sales pitch, is that we need, in the world that we're headed into, they've got oil and minerals, and we need Russia. And my response
and they're
was
big and powerful, and they're important, and
talking points
all the rest
from
of it.
2006 at best. The same thing with China's going to eat our lunch. It's right. It's in the dustbin of history with the China's going to eat our lunch. And in this particular case, I kept going, why? There's too much oil. We're moving away from most of the rare earth minerals that are difficult to get or come from difficult places just through advances in technology. Even lithium is going out the door. This year I was at CES and I was walking around, and all the places that had like new lithium ion batteries that went longer because of the solid state batteries were showing up. Everybody was just putting a piece of Office Depot paper over the lithium ion part of their sign because they didn't have time to change it because it was altering that fast, right? And the technology, everybody is looking at, all right, what do we make, and why do we need cobalt from Africa and rare earth minerals from China or Russia or anywhere else that hates us? We can redo the fight we did over fossil fuels, which is we fell into this trap where it was all under Saudi Arabia, and we had to kowtow to them for a couple of decades, or 5 decades in this process, and tie ourselves to the Iranians for a while.
And then look at the Europeans and the European dependence on fossil fuels from Russia, which basically made them, a bunch of junkies.
Subsidiaries of Russia.
And I think we need to come to a point sooner than later where we recognize that Russia and China, you're the more knowledgeable about China than I am. But what I can say about Russia is, as long as they are allowed, or as long as we let them, conduct themselves on the global stage in which they are destructive. It is the reason why I have my Lincoln quote at the end of every single episode of On the Edge, is that the despotism of Russia, with it being a global power, is always going to cause damage to those who want to create liberal democracy, whether that's Europe or America or other areas around the world. And if we don't do something about this, if we really don't stand up to these guys,
Yeah.
it is the same thing as what Lincoln wrote in 1855. And at what point do we say that despotism and I'm big, you're small, so I get to tell you what to do,
Right.
and
Might makes right.
I'm
Yep.
powerful. Might makes right. At what point do we say no? We're going to have a different globe. We're going to have a globe where people have sovereignty. We're going to have a globe where you may be small, but you have the right to determine your own future. And again, this plays into Venezuela. It just, I am so tired
I
of
get
the
it.
Russians being able to do whatever. I got the hell bombed out of me 2 nights ago.
Well, this has to do with the
absolutely blasted.
Mutual assured
When
destruction.
do we say no?
Well, I said, effectively, we are, and a lot of people are just taking for granted that part of it is on autopilot. And I do not think they understand the nature of asymmetrical warfare from Russia and from China, and what it is hell bent on doing. That it is the destruction of natural liberties, the destruction of individual rights, and all that kind of stuff is not it's not lip service. It's not a joke to them, and it's not something you can shrug off. That in many ways, while we are blessed to be able to criticize our government over here, I think our recognition of that also doesn't go far enough, and maybe it's something we got burned on in the 80s and forgot that was important, was that that stands in contrast to how the other big powers in the world operate. That it's not just that we get to and we can, but we also have to be aware of that there are other countries out there that you're not allowed to do that. And if they had a chance, they would eliminate our system either by external force or internal manipulation. And anytime you hear a maggot sort of talking about curtailing free speech all of a sudden because somebody is criticizing Donald Trump, they've got Solovyev's hand up their backside, parroting a Russian talking point. One of the material realities is,
and internally within our own country too.
Yes.
And we have to deal with that. And I'm sorry to be just at a point of exhaustion.
Sure.
What is happening domestically within the United States, what's happening in Europe, what's happening in China, what's happening in, of course, Russia, all of these things need to be dealt with. And we need to take them much more seriously than we have been taking them. And at some point, the fact that we have a guy in the White House who holds the same mentality as the guy in the Kremlin should be a deep concern for everybody.
I agree, but you're preaching to the choir in this one, and again, that the only way that's going to change is convincing people who've been formally against Ukraine because it was the Republican talking point for a while because of Marjorie Taylor Greene and I don't know Tom Cotton and some others. And there is definitely a shift that has happened. And again, Trump is, the Congress added more sanctions to Russia. Trump signed them without batting an eye. Now did he have one of his big, show his diaper signing ceremonies where he was like, more Russian sanctions, right? He didn't do that. He did it quietly. If he was even aware he was doing it, that's another question. Not to get to reversing the kind of Biden jokes about him, but that's a clear aspect of it. But I want to point out something materially that's just true about what's going on in Russia on a couple of fronts. And this points to, do we care, and is the caring showing in any way? One of the reasons Ukraine has 2 years more of military support is because the sort of withholding of stuff from NATO giving it to Ukraine has been all but removed, so that Trump and his buddies who know that this is the way to go because it's just the better outcome for the United States, much less Ukraine, have secretly, annoyed every maggot in Congress from Chip Roy to Marjorie Taylor Greene, and moved ahead with giving Ukraine continued money and allowing the sale of arms to them, all sorts of stuff, basically taking most of the limits off of it. And in the meantime, adding more sanctions. Last month, and this is from like a Bloomberg-related article, last month, Russia's oil supply fell by more than 100,000 barrels a day to 9.3 million barrels per day, according to the source. The decline marked the steepest drop since mid-2024 when Russia was complying with OPEC plus production quotas. Now, why was there an OPEC plus production quota in mid-2024? It was to get Donald Trump elected and make it harder for Harris Biden. That's why. That's what they were doing. OPEC Plus with Russia and Saudi Arabia, Trump's big buddies, were trying to help him get reelected because they thought it was going to buy them, some wiggle room. Now, it worked with the Saudis. It's not necessarily worked with Russia because Russia has overstepped their bounds and he feels cheated because he felt like he was promised the end of the war and they're not delivering. Something like that. Under its current agreement with oil-producing nations, Russia is now permitted to increase its output. However, instead of ramping up production, December output unexpectedly fell and remains about 250,000 barrels per day below its quota. That's not even its production max. It's just the quota that OPEC has allowed people to reach. There's still 250,000 barrels below that. Selling the extracted oil has become increasingly difficult, and this is the part that stands out. And this is the thing about, worldwide, people obviously care about this. While tankers continue to ship around 4 million barrels per day from Russian ports, a growing volume of crude is remaining at sea awaiting discharge. Since late November, the amount of unsold Russian oil has risen by roughly 30 million barrels. So that 30 to 50 million barrels of Venezuelan oil that we're taking off of Venezuela's hands, I got news for you. That was a hand trade between Venezuela and Russia. So we're helping ease some of that, those crude oil, freeing up some of those ships in other areas. So if they leave empty, we don't care. So they can buzz off and pick up some of that oil and take it someplace else. That's it, and we're taking this 30 to 50 off, basically allowing it to go to market and burning off instead of floating right next to the extra 30 million barrels that were there. Now think about this for a second. 30 to 50 million barrels of oil from Venezuela. The United States is going to take that and sell it on the open market, which means it is already produced, already sitting. And on top of that, there's 30 million barrels of oil, Russian oil, that are sitting in tankers, floating, miles off the coast of India and China, unable to go ashore because of sanctions. And those countries looking at which country they'd rather be aligned with. And as all this talk of China rushing into Russia's arms and vice versa and all this nonsense, the exact opposite is happening. As the tech world grows and China's trying to reemerge as a techno factory, chasing everybody else because they finally have some competition from Vietnam, South Korea, Japan, that kind of stuff, which they never had before, and certainly Taiwan. They don't want it. They have to trade off whether they want the money that can come from this or the cheap oil that comes from Russia. The problem is there's too much oil, so it's all cheap. So why do they need to buy Russian oil below the sanction level of $60?
Which is what Russia relies on.
Exactly.
If it doesn't have that, it doesn't have anything.
Exactly.
And that's so much a part of why they are conducting this imperial colonial war in Ukraine, is because they have to find another way to have power, control, influence, of course, finance, all the rest of it. Yeah, so it's got to get to a point where we recognize that this is existential, and we really need to
and that Russia declared war on us a long time ago. You could argue that Euromaidan was as much about a war with the West. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. This is fun, too.
Short break, 30 seconds.
Thank you. Exxon calls Venezuela uninvestable as Trump pushes oil plan. Thank you, Chicago.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
I'm still a little jet lagged. Can you believe it? It's been like 10 days.
No, I get it.
Still,
yeah, you bounced all over the place, man.
knackered.
We love you. We got you. Fear not.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
I just
Right.
when are people going to start listening?
I am happy, you are happy. Let us be happy together, whether the weather is cloudy or sunny. I will always be your funny honey bunny. I am lucky, you are lucky. Let us get lucky together, whether the weather is cloudy or breezy. I'll be there to say, hey, come on, let's take it easy. Because isn't it nice to have the friends that you do? And isn't it nice that the sky is so blue? And isn't it nice to say I love you, chugga chugga choo choo, woo woo. I am smiling, you are smiling. Let us smile together, whether the weather is cloudy or stormy. I will still be there in the morning. I'll be right by your side in the morning. I'll make you breakfast in the morning. I hope that you like cereal.
Yay!
I don't know if this qualifies as a happy ending, but the whole Trump wandering to the window.
Boy, did I need that.
Yes, that song is dedicated to Phil today.
Look, guys, seriously, I'm sorry that I'm kind of in a bummer.
It's okay.
You're
in a war zone, Phil. We're okay.
Yeah,
we're okay with
it. Thank you. But I'm having this day where I am kind of like, this is really important. This is really important. What's happening here in Ukraine is really, really important. And it's connected with Venezuela. And it's connected with the maniac in the White House. And I guess I'm kind of having a day where I'm just, come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah, get with it.
Let's do something about this. Not just about the poor people who are suffering in Ukraine, the woman who was shot in Minnesota, the chaos of Venezuela. All of these things are all connected, and I'm kind of having a day where I'm just feeling like there are good people. Hal, you're a good person. You're a good person.
No.
Johnny?
It's true. He's okay.
Jerry's still up. I get it.
I won't repeat it too often, but you're a good guy too. When did the good guys win? When do we get in the driver's seat?
Okay,
and that's what we need to do.
Look, we can get in the driver's seat. We need to stay in the driver's seat. And that has to be the lesson of this. This windshield wiper politics, this kind of ping-ponging back and forth of, of the midterm curse and stuff like that, whether you deserve it or not, nonsense, has got to go. And what the Democrats, like I said, we have one job right now: turn red districts purple and purple districts blue. And in the process of doing that, you will develop a voter base of a size that will, if it doesn't turn a place blue, it will scare the Republicans into recognizing they're going to have to put somebody normal up for office instead of a maggot, or they'll never get reelected. And so they have to play ball with the other constituents in their district. And so every Democrat in every district, whether you think your place is already, like, I'm in a red district, it doesn't matter. It absolutely does, because there's a person every other house that's thinking the same thing you do, and they don't leave the house on election day for the same reason. And if they did, Democrats would have 35 more seats in the House and probably 8 more seats in the Senate if every Democrat in the country voted every single time, period. And then once we get 62 votes in the Senate and we get 60% or 65% of the House, then you can start purity pairing out people and saying that we got to pick, and choose the gems, separate the wheat from the chaff. But at this point, the damage that is being done simply by allowing Republicans to get anywhere near a majority of any sort is what causes all this. It's every time.
Yeah.
That's all
and
it
is. It needs to happen in the United States primarily, but it also has to happen globally.
Yeah.
And that's what this is about. Where I am now, with the people that I surround myself with now. They are fighting they're fighting against an enemy that wants to create a world in which, as you say, might makes right. And they resist it. We resist it. We have to come together to resist it because it's existential. And I believe in the tenets of what our founding fathers created. I believe in what was thought up during the Age of Enlightenment. And the Russians don't want it, and Trump doesn't want it. What
the
they
Chinese
want
don't want
is
it,
power.
and
Chinese don't want it.
Khomeini
They
doesn't
want
want
power.
it, and
It's just
the
power.
Prince,
It's just power.
MBS doesn't want it, right?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And we have to stop it. Those of us in the United States who are taking to the streets and who are voting, and those Ukrainians who are standing in cold, snowy trench lines today. I mean, I look out the window today. I look out the window right now, and it is snowy, and it is cold, and it is dark. And there are men with weapons in trench lines who believe in the idea that their fellow Ukrainians deserve the right to have self-determination, that their women and children and grandfathers and all Ukrainians of all ethnicities and groupings. This is important, and we need to stand by it. And I'm the reason why I am a little bit on the pessimistic side, on the edge today is because I think it's important. Damn it, I do. I think it's important, and I think we need to support this. And so, I just urge people to remember that these things are really, really important, and they're going to change the lives of our children, and they're going to change the lives of nations and identity. And it's why I keep doing On the Edge.
There you go.
And it's why I keep talking to you, Hal. And it's why I keep going on Tom. And
I hope you'll talk to me when there's not a war, because I do love talking to you. So I hope that this is the only reason you've been talking to me this whole time. I've got some level of charm. I feel okay about myself in that regard. I know Johnny Million.
A whole bunch of charm. And
he just does it for the.
He's gonna.
He does it for the Twitch raids. I understand. I'm being used.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it's important, guys. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do. I've given 4 years of my life. I have given 4 years of my life doing this because I think it's important. I really do. And I just hope that the people with whom we speak to, you and I, Hal, that they take that to heart. It's not just lip service.
Yeah.
Sorry. Tirade done.
Not at all. So I would like, there's a couple of things. One is before we run out of time today, I do want to address what you've heard, if anything at all, about the Russian tanker that was seized, by the United States, and Russia's reaction to this, because this is one of those signs that something has shifted in this White House away from the absolute blanket protection. It's almost as if, that question we always ask about Trump and will MAGA ever leave him? We ask the same thing about Trump and Putin. Will he ever leave Putin, right? And it seems like there are a few signs, not the least of which is he said, it's just his own mind keeping him from seizing Putin or whatever, doing the same thing that he did, which is just ridiculous, but whatever. But this whole thing about like these multiple ships where we chase these things down, and they're Russian flag ships, that there were Venezuelan boats that were changing their flags to Russian, which is an old pirate trick. Just steal flags and then just put one up and take your wife. Hi, no, we're from Spain. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I know people will, tune in to kind of like not hear me moan and whine about how upset I am, but geopolitically, what we're looking at in Venezuela, because of the relationship between Maduro and Putin and the shadow fleet that allows Russia to continue to conduct its war here because it does illegal fossil fuel trades. That has to stop. And I think there's a lot of stuff going on. I don't exactly know where the undercurrents are, but I do know that shutting off Venezuela from the gray trade in fossil fuels is a good thing, and I think 2026 we will see what happens. But I think Russia is in very, very is in a very difficult time. We will see what happens in the coming year. I think it will be pivotal. It may not end the war. It may get to a point where the globe realizes that Russia is on the losing side, which is a very important transition to have happen. But we shall see. Venezuela is part of it. Russia, not to state the obvious, Russia has to lose here. And so, anyhow,
we're out of time. So, thank you guys so much.
Thanks for letting me, Vince.
Not at all, Phil.
Yeah,
we love you.
thank you,
Stay
Phil.
safe. And thank you, Johnny Million. Thank you, Chicago. And we'll see you guys next week. There we go. Ta-da.
We did it.
Yeah, you did it. You're okay, Phil. Come on, man. We love you.
We love Phil.
Yeah.
I am. It's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
I'm familiar with the feeling lately.
Yeah.
So
no, I'll stick it out. Earlier today, I was like, no, I'm done. cut it all off.
Yeah.
shut everything down, and just go home and put my feet in Lake Huron and
sure. Maybe you keep your place
and
you rotate rotate hosts out and like send me or Boston Brian. And we'll go for a month.
Hey, come on over. Sure.
Yeah.
No, it's just been since I got back. It's been exhausting because we shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be here. No. We should be kicking. We're off the air, right?
Yes.
Yes.
We should be kicking the shit. We should be kicking the shit out of the Russians.
Yeah.
We should be. They should absolutely be getting it, in the net.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it's frustrating that we have to deal with, all of it.
I agree, but I also think
Trump too.
Yeah. Look, the stuff with Trump and even linking to the Minneapolis stuff. I've said this before and I'll say it again. It was completely predictable, as was his slow walking support of Ukraine, which stretched this war out at least a year. So every death that happened in the last year of the Ukraine war is on his back. Specifically because he chose to, through J.D. Vance, or allowing it, or total disregard, this wanton disregard for human life, chose to let this drag out longer than it had to, and now is finally coming around suddenly. Like, we have seized 2 or 3 Russian tankers at this point with no idea where the fuck we're going to park them. The Coast Guard has them. They're going to turn them into water parks or some shit, or just sink them. Who knows? But that's if you think back to like what Trump was saying on the campaign trail about he could end the Ukraine war in an afternoon with one phone call and all that kind of shit, and that Russia's our friend and Ukraine, and Zelensky's the biggest salesman and con man in the world, and he comes over here and he just walks away with suitcases full of cash and shit like that. And then it's fucking January and we've just seized 2 Russian tankers. This is because reality comes crashing down on whoever's in office. This is why Republicans always call it a uniparty.
Yet at the same time, the Ukrainians are kicking the shit out of the Russians.
Yeah, right.
They're having counteroffensives. They've stopped them in Pokrovsk. That's right. They have every possibility of winning this war. And what you and I have spoken about in the last week, as I've kind of tried to get back on my feet here, is that I do think in this year that the world is going to recognize, Russia can't win.
Yeah.
And that's going to be huge. That's going to be a huge shift in how the world works with this war, because they're going to lose. The Russians are going to lose.
I don't know if you've seen this, but this woman who lit her cigarette on a picture of Khomeini. My theory is that this is going to catch on, and I know somebody's going to do it with a picture of Trump very soon. But the real turning point is when somebody does it with Putin and somebody does it with Xi. That's what's next. You're going to see this as a meme moment for how this is going to go, and I feel like Putin's next in this regard. All right, I'm going to let you go. Get some rest, Phil. Eat a nice meal. Have some warm
sleep,
soup.
buddy boo.
Get some sleep. We love you.
I need some sleep.
And you're going to be all right.
I love you guys too.
Yeah,
I love you guys.
We miss
too.
you.
Go Bears.
I'm sorry that Well, I'm not sorry,
Don't
but
apologize. Don't bother.
I'm not apologizing. Nope. No, I'm not. I'm not apologizing. But I'm at a point where I'm just tired.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Never apologize for being genuine. Like when I never say I'm sorry when I tell people I'm awesome. So.
Nope. No, you don't.
All right. Love you. I'm gonna let you guys go. All right.
Did you have your audition?
Everybody.
Did you have your audition?
Did I? Yes.
Did it go well?
Well, it was video, so I don't know. It happens later. Yeah. So there's no way
Good
to
luck
tell.
to you.
But thank you very much. It's one of many. I don't necessarily think this is one of the ones that I'll get because I look far too cute for this role. I think they were looking for somebody more grizzled.
I'll get a good night's sleep in, and I'll get a reinvigorated, and we'll keep doing what we do.
Love it. We'll talk to you on Wednesday and have a great show, and we'll send links over or whatever. And if you feel like having me on as a guest on the Edge with one of your other guests at some point, maybe we throw that together.
Yeah.
It's only fair.
Lots of stuff to do.
One show versus 60 or something. I don't know what. You know what I mean?
Oh, come on.
I'm kidding. This is me. You're too tired to mess with me like that. I'm sorry. That's my bad. I take it easy on you. You're very delicate right now. I apologize. All right. Much love, brother. Okay. See you later.
Be well.
Okay, you too.
Right.
Get some rest. Okay, bye. And chat room, I love you. Hi there. Poor Phil, man. That's a lot. It's a lot. And I don't think anybody begrudges him. I think it's funny that he. I don't think it's funny. Funny's not the word I would use, but I did use it, so clearly I would. That I do understand that feeling. I do also believe, and honestly, what I said, that a lot of times that feeling happens right before, it's always darkest right before the dawn. That's kind of what that means, right? And so I'm glad you like my CES Innovation Technology Academy trade show shirt. It's fun. It's a good time. I don't know where your car is, dude. Yeah, sorry, not sorry is exactly the Philip Bittner story. Did you talk about hypersonic missiles? I did not. We didn't talk about them this time because we were largely dealing with, what was going on with Phil in that regard. So we didn't get to a lot of the details of it. But yeah, he spent a lot of time apologizing for something we all understand. But you gotta understand, like he's exhausted. He has jet lag, and they were bombed all last night in the civilian area. So he's, and power's out. They're cycling through power, 8 hours of power a day, because they're limited, because they're, and they're having to turn the power off in certain times at night just to make sure that there aren't obvious targets for drones. So, anyways, everybody subscribe to On the Edge and make sure that, watch one of the episodes to help him get his numbers up. Share the show for him. That will really help. You want to give him a little bit of a goose. That would be the best way to do it, I think. It's right away. Oh, thanks, Cosmic Rose. That was a good time. That was a good conversation. I got to put that my simulation theory thing into a book, because it's very complicated. I feel like there's a lot to it. It's very dense. It's like Philip K. Dick has his idea how the universe works. I have an equal one of my own that's very, it's similar in density. You're my density. So anyways, much love. I'll leave you guys to it as well. I've got a honeydew list as long as my parts. So I will see you guys later on. Where is this? Let's try with, what am I feeling today? Try to do that. I've got this one. No, that's the sad one. This'll do. So, you guys are awesome. Hit the like, share the show. I can't tell you how much you post your prompting notes. No, not yet. I'm doing a Substack on that today. So that will be up today on my Substack. So check out the Substack later on today, or you'll probably get a notification if you subscribe. Okay. All right. Look, stuff Summer needs first, then other stuff. That's just how my life is. My show would be a lot bigger if I had a robot. Just saying. Thank you guys for the super chats. Love you, Hal Vickery. Thank you, T.A. Baker. Thank you, Robert Picula. Thank you, Marcia. Boston Brian, love you. Arizona Sunflowers, Berkeley Dowd, thank you guys so much. Tia Black, thank you. Stacy, thank you. Paul, thank you. Marcia, thank you so much. And did I miss anybody? Stacy, I think I said you're okay. Yes, thank you, Stacy. And also, thanks to all the Patreon supporters. Really appreciate you. And Twitch people, subscribe. If you have Amazon Prime, it doesn't cost you a dime. Give it a shot. Like and share the show. Like and share the clips. Leave comments on the videos. That really, really helps. Even if you just pop by, you see my videos. If you just want to pop into the comment section of each one and go, hello, that's plenty fine. Or give an exclamation point. That really helps. All right. We will see you very soon.
shadow falls where I can't go. The wind, it whispers, calling low. Oh, carry me to where the sky meets the sea. Oh, carry me. Oh, set me free. A lone bird cries, its wings so frail. The heather bends beneath the gale. I chase a dream